Here with Concordia head men's soccer coach Jason Weides to preview the upcoming 2015 season. First, when you look back at last season, obviously it was an agonizingly close defeat at Hastings in the conference semifinals. No, that was tough for the team, but how has it perhaps maybe been used as a positive moving into this off season?
Oh, without a doubt, it's been a positive. I mean, every team loses at some point, and I think our team obviously felt a lot of pain, and it took a little while to get over that loss and to do it in that fashion as well. But they use it as fuel, just in the off season. I think that most teams use that last loss as motivation. I think our guys, it meant something more because they wanted to get back there. They wanted to get farther than that for this upcoming year, and we've always had guys work really hard in the off season, and this year was no different in that, but I felt like there was just a little something extra the guys had, that extra little motivation. So
I don't know if you've ever had this many seniors on your roster before. 11 seniors is a little bit of a unique situation. How important will that group be in deciding how much success this year's team has?
It'll play a big part. One of the more successful seasons we've had was back in 2011, and that was another big group of seniors. I mean, it's great to have young players, but it's even better to have great players that are now seniors. I mean, they've been through the fire, they've been tested, they've had tons of challenges that they've either failed from those challenges or they've overcome, and now they're better prepared to face new challenges and overcome them. So I think it's huge. I think that, obviously we've got a wide variety of different years on our team and different talents, but this group of seniors will play a huge role in the success of our season, and I think, again, they're one of the driving forces in some of that motivation in the off season. I think they've done a great job, and I think they're going to do a great job this season.
Of course, one of the headlining returners is Gideon, who was first team all-conference last year. What has his presence and his level of play meant to this program the past few seasons?
He's done a lot for our program, and to be honest, he's done a lot of the things that you don't see. He's not a vocal guy. He's not a guy that really even maybe likes to be in the spotlight. He's a leader by example type player. He's a guy that our guys saw all the time in the off season, just working, getting touches on the ball, working out, and he constantly, shows our younger players what they need to do in the off season. And so I think more than anything, it's just what he does when no one's watching that we are impressed by the most. But yeah, he's had a really nice career, and I think continues to get better, and we're expecting big things from him this year.
Now, in terms of other all-conference returners, you also have Mark Campbell and Justin Lowry back. Among conference teams, only Hastings was more difficult to score upon last year. How much of that was due to the play of Campbell and Lowry?
Oh, those guys played awesome last year. Campbell's been consistent since he stepped foot here, and Justin, I think, has always been a good player for us, but I thought last year just really took a huge step forward, and just a guy that we see as he's an all-conference player, and I think those guys are big parts of it. The nice thing is that we bring back most of our defensive organization with our team, and so we're expecting to have a stingy defense again, and those guys will play a big part.
Now, last year the goal scoring was really spread out. No individual had more than 6 goals. Do you expect a similar situation this year, or is there someone maybe that can step up and carry more of a burden?
I think we have guys that could step up and could end up with 10-plus goals. Gideon Sangson's capable of that. Toby Down, Micah Lanebauer's constantly getting better all the time. I mean, we've got other guys who I think can do that. We've got some young freshmen that are coming in that are goal scorers. So I think that there's a lot of players who can help contribute to that. I still think we'll probably be a little bit like last year where it's spread out. I'd love if we had someone with 20 goals or something like that, but I kind of envision goals coming from everywhere, and I would think that we're more capable of scoring more goals as a team. So, hopefully it won't be, goals of 3 and 3 and 5 and 6. Hopefully, we'll be a lot more guys close to 10 goals. So.
Now the keeper position has been kind of a theme this off season with trying to replace Brendan Buchanan, who had a really nice career. You updated that situation a little bit in the spring, but how has that continued to progress?
It's great. I think we're going to have great competition for that position. We've got 4 keepers this fall, and Mark Horsberg has been here for a couple years, and I think is ready for that position. We've got a couple new players, one from England and one here from Lincoln that are going to kind of immediately compete for that position as well.
Now, I know Lowry is a guy you expect to have a big senior year. How about some other guys that maybe have been in the program a year or two and who have a chance to make a big leap this year?
Well, I mean, we only have so much time to mention those guys. I think there's a lot of guys who could do that, but I mentioned his name before, but a guy that we've talked about, Michael Leyenbauer, he just continues to get better all the time, so I think it could be a season where he takes a step forward. Toby Down had a good first season as a freshman and has been working really hard, and I think he's a guy that could have a kind of a big breakout season as well. We've got in the midfield, we've got other guys, a new guy from England, Lewis, and I think Lewis could have a really nice season. Carlos Acosta, we expect to have a great season, and we've just got a few guys kind of banged up right now too that we're hoping to get back soon. Some guys probably won't be ready for action until maybe early September-ish, and once we get those guys back, like Marcos Leon, then we'll be really plugging in all cylinders.
Now this shifts gears a little bit away from this coming season, but now you've been head coach now at Concordia for a while. How much different is recruiting now? I know there's a lot more focus on international recruiting maybe than when you first got here, but how have the dynamics changed in recruiting?
I don't think it's changed that much. Obviously, the complexion of our team has changed a little bit since when I first got here. It makes it a little bit more difficult, I think, when you factor in international recruiting, just because there's so many more pieces of the puzzle to recruiting international athletes. There's a little bit more unknown. Obviously, we have a better chance to see players here domestically, and we're at times, projecting a little bit more off of international players. But we have some good relationships with people that give us some great references on internationals, and we're able to watch a lot of video on them, and occasionally we're actually able to watch them in live. But it definitely makes it more difficult. Even the challenge of going through acceptance process is a little bit more cumbersome. But we found the composition of our team's great. We love that kind of diverse population within our team, and guys from all over the world.
Now, last year's team got off to a 1-3 start, and then was 9-3-4 the rest of the way. Those early losses were all by 1 goal, and a couple of them were in double overtime. How much do you emphasize getting off to a strong start?
Oh, definitely it's important. I mean, it's no different than any season, though, trying to start strong. We want to do that every year, and this year's no different. I think the key thing is that we're going to face challenges throughout a season. You don't quite know when they're going to happen. It could be on day one. It could be before the season starts. It could be in the last game of the season. But you just have to be able to respond to them and overcome them and really move past them. And I think our guys did that pretty well last year. A couple early losses that were tough. Games that we felt like we could have and maybe should have won, but they just didn't go our way. Maybe tough overtime losses. And rather than kind of sulking, our team just picked themselves up and kept on moving, and believed that we could continue to get better and win. And eventually they did. And I think hopefully those lessons will carry into this year. So whether we start off hot and we're undefeated for a while, or whether we have some early losses with some tough teams, we're able to continue to succeed in the long run.
Analyze the non-conference schedule a little bit and how that's going to prepare you for the GPAC season.
Yeah, we've got some good teams this year. In particular, some top 25 type teams, like Benedictine's one of our opening games out of Kansas, and they're a kind of perennial top 25 type team. Bellevue, we played them here at home. They made it to the national tournament and made it to the, I think, second or third round of the national tournament last year, and a very good team. So we've got some teams that really test us. We've also got some road trips we feel like are going to be challenging. We got to Denver for a long road trip, played Johnson Wales, and our non-conference will test us and prepare us, I think, for our conference season.
I'm looking at that conference race. Hastings every year is one of the favorites, and that probably won't change this year. How strong is the conference overall, and where does your experienced group fit in?
I think our group is going to be competing with everybody in our conference this year, and we're right there in the mix of the top teams. Obviously we have a little bit of a biased perspective on that, but I think that on paper we should be there with all these teams. Now that's why we play the game, and we'll see. But I think the league overall is getting better all the time. We see every team improving. I think as we look at the teams, we don't know everything about every team and all the new players they have, but from what I know about the teams, most every team I think is going to be improved. I think some teams are taking a huge step forward and will be a lot more competitive than they were last year, and it'll be a really fun league this year.